I should have charged my microphone interface before this. Hopefully it will last us the night. Welcome everyone. If you are joining us live or watching the VOD, thank you for tuning in, regardless. Tonight, we'll be doing something a little different. I decided I'd use my experience of having watched the 2003 anime series Sonic X for a stream by ranking all the episodes in a tier list. And yes, we are using a tier list this time because I don't want to make a big old scripted video ranking every episode. Maybe someday, but not today. I didn't have time for that. I'm already working on one video, one in immediate production, and possibly more in early development. So we'll just have to make do with this for some time. By the way, if you haven't seen my feature-length video ranking every single death of Maria Robotnik, you should go check that out, because it took a really, really long time to make. Please. Anyways, let's cut that out and just get started. So, I'm gonna try and see if we could I could pull up some Sonic X music to use, but I'm scared, because if it's copyrighted or not, I don't want to get struck. I think there are certain tunes that are not copyrighted, and I think I'm hoping that I'll be fine if I use a certain one. But I mean, after the warning I got showing off that Sonic X edit, I'm a little hesitant. Whoops, didn't need to do that. So, I might just pull up like Sonic Frontiers Lo-Fi or something. There's what was it? Fishing vibes. I don't know. It's safe. It's whatever. Here we go. That's an ad. No, I don't care. I don't use Facebook. Sorry. Anyways, there we go. Some nice tunes. That'll work. Okay. So, let's not waste any time and just get straight to it. Oh wow, the stream is quite behind. Oh well. Make do what we can do. Alright, so as you can see, I have a tier list here with S rank, A rank, B rank, C rank, D rank, and F rank, and I have every single episode with its title. Took a little while to gather all these. So, now, I should preface this by saying that I am basing my opinions on these episodes off the Japanese version, but, I've seen both the Japanese version and the English dub, but, the English dub is more fresh in my mind because I just finished watching that one, and it's been a few years since I've seen the Japanese version. But I think they're similar enough to where I can kind of judge episode by episode. They're gonna be in the same order, most likely. But, yeah, so just apologies for that ahead of time. All right. So, let us begin with Episode 1, Chaos Control Freaks, also known as The Supersonic Hero Appears in Japan. For a pilot episode, I'd say this one is actually pretty good. I'd say that, I'm not gonna be able to talk about each of these episodes for very long because we got 78 of these. So if we want to be done within 2 hours, I can only dedicate like maybe a minute and a half to each one. But anyways, so yeah, first episode is good. It's a good setup, really action-packed, has some of the best animation in the series is actually in the first 10 minutes. I think it sets up the characters pretty well, sets up the world pretty well, and Sonic in a new world. Definitely great soundtrack in the Japanese version. So I think, for starters, we'll put Chaos Control Freaks we'll put it in A tier to start with, and see where we go from there. Okay. Second episode, Sonic to the Rescue. I mean, we have the introduction of Tails, and kind of get to know Chris a little better in this one. And of course, there's the break into Area 99. I'd say that this one... I'm gonna also put this one in A tier, under the first one. I don't really know how to describe it, really. I think it's just also good, but not as good as the first episode, but still good, so it's A tier. Missile Wrist Rampage. I would call this one a really good episode. I don't know if it's the best out there, but it is really strong. It's, we get the Knuckles and Amy introduced. Eggman makes his big villain debut with the robot. I think this one will go ahead of Chaos Control Freaks. The buildings and everything. Eggman destroying buildings and everything. I think that'll work. Okay, what's next? Chaos Emerald Chaos. I'm trying to remember what this one's about. Okay, so there's Mr. Stewart is introduced in this one, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's the one where it's the one where the excavator goes crazy. They go and find the Chaos Emerald, and Chris gets kidnapped. And then falls from Eggman's Eggmobile head first. Like if you've seen the meme, because of Chris Thorndyke's resemblances to the main character of Kingdom Hearts, Sora. You'll see how Sora dives headfirst in the opening cutscene because of, I don't know, it's not in story or anything. It's just like a neat visual, and so they kind of have the visual of Chris falling, and then it cuts to the Sora underwater, and it's they play the music that goes with the cutscene. Anyways, yeah, this one I'll put it B tier for now. It's a good episode. Cracking Knuckles. This one's pretty popular because it's a Sonic versus Knuckles fight. We also kind of get to see that Knuckles is not really a very smart character. I think the way that Eggman tricks him is a little bit unreasonable, even from what we know of him so far, it seems quite unreasonable, just based on Missile Wrist Rampage. Action's alright. I think this one is going... We'll put it in B tier for now. Techno Teacher. If you've seen the thumbnail, you see that I had a dedicated spot for this on the thumbnail underneath all the others. So, I have a little confession to make. When I rewatched Sonic X in English, the whole series, a few months ago, I skipped this one. Because I just, from what I remembered in the Japanese version, it just seemed like a very nothing episode. It's the episode where Chris's classmates find out about Sonic, I guess, if it has that significance. I suppose there's a few funny gags in it here and there, but otherwise I found it a little bit just kind of boring. There's a scene, I mean, it doesn't really make sense how the robot teacher like goes there to teach the kids about Eggman, but he actually gets attached to the kids and then starts going against Eggman, and then Eggman just... It could have been a pretty cool arc, but Eggman just walks over there like, what are you doing? And then the robot is just like, oh, sorry about that. And then he just goes right back to being Eggman's slave. I don't know. I felt like it could have been handled better. I don't know if anything is F-worthy yet, but I'll put it in D for now. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's, compared to the other episodes, I found it pretty weak. Okay, what's next? Party Hardly. So, I think this one's not very popular among people, and I can kind of see why. Eggman's not in it, for starters. There's no great conflict, no battle scenes. It seems like a very low... what you call low stakes episode, where it's just about Chris having mommy issues and Cream missing her mother, and kind of the parallels going on there. Honestly, hot take, I like this one. I really liked it, but particularly in the Japanese version. I thought that I found that I was connected with Chris and how he didn't how his mother just keeps abandoning him, but I also felt for the mother because you can kind of see how she kind of fell into this not so much trap, but like she's fallen into this lifestyle that she's found it really hard to get out of, and where her priorities lie. So you can kind of see, you can feel bad for her, even if you can't really excuse what she's done. And Cream, you can see how Cream got kind of mad at Chris for being, quote, ungrateful, even if Chris is justified, because Cream is separated from her mother, and Chris, at the very least, gets to see her from time to time. So from Cream's perspective, you know, she's in a much worse boat than he is, and he's got no right to complain. But anyways, I just think it's funny, I guess. I thought it had funny gags, and I thought a chill episode was pretty good. Anyways, I'm gonna put this one, we'll put it in high B for now, but it might be a low A. We'll see where it goes later on. Satellite Swindle. This is the one with the X-Tornadoes introduced. It's alright, I think. I think they could have introduced the X-Tornado in a more exciting episode than just a, you know, satellite vacuum thing. Put it in C tier. It's fine. The Last Resort. This is the Amy episode on the beach. I think this one's alright as well. Yeah. Yeah, I think I like the ending, for starters. How the bracelet gets destroyed, that Amy prepared for Sonic, and that sets her up to save the day. And then, and of course, Sonic goes to save her when she starts to drown, even though he can't swim, which is a noble act. And I don't know, I like the framing of the ending where Amy wakes up and, just kind of thinks she's back where she started, but is going to keep trying with Sonic. And we see Sonic elsewhere, how he's fixed the bracelet that Amy made for him, and he's wearing it. So I thought that was cute. We'll put this. You know what? We'll put it above Chaos Emerald Chaos. Unfair Ball. This is another controversial one. Just kind of a baseball filler episode. I thought it had some fun gags, but it was nothing too crazy. We'll put it in a high C, I guess. Fly Spy, the Rouge episode. I thought this one was pretty cool. There's Sonic and Co. are not in it very much. They get tricked by Rouge into going after the wrong lead, but Rouge herself is tricked into going after the lead in the first place, laid by Gun. Topaz is introduced in this episode, I think. I don't know if she was in a previous one, but they set up Rouge and Topaz's dynamic really well in this one. I think it's pretty strong, so we'll put it low A for now. You know what? Actually, I'll put it above Sonic to the Rescue. We'll do that. Beating Eggman Part 1. So I kind of think of parts 1 and 2 as the same episode, kinda, so I have to think about what separated the two. So they had the chicken thing in the hayfield in this one, and they start laying the attack. I don't know. I'm starting to kind of draw a blank on what was in this one, so I'm gonna put it here. I don't know. Just kind of vibes. Part 2, it's got the big fight, the gun battles and everything. It's pretty exciting. Put that one high B. That's What Friends Are For. So this one is a lot of people's favorite episode of the series. Even people who don't like Sonic X tend to like this episode because people lift it up as one of the best examples of Sonic's character, and how, I guess, a lot of people say that this is a good example of why Helen would have been a better audience surrogate than Chris Thorndike. I have a few reservations about that. I'm not sure I fully agree with that. But, how Helen is a wheelchair girl who can't walk. And also has issues with her parents, working too hard, though she sees them a lot more than Chris does. Basically, Sonic and her agree to meet up for a date. Date, in quotes. Rendezvous, I suppose. To go onto an island and see a place that she had always wanted to, but couldn't, because her parents were always busy. And all the while, the president's forces are chasing Sonic to get to a party for political reasons. And they say it's a good example of his character because he turns down the president's offer to attend this party and instead spends time with this girl that he became friends with, who can't walk, and helps her have the excitement that she never thought she'd have. Which, yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good example of his character. So, in regards to that, it's a pretty well-made piece of television. Best episode? I'm not sure, personally. I think the other character... I think if you're just in it for... like if you just want a good example of Sonic the Hedgehog, not so much Sonic X, but Sonic the Hedgehog, then this is a really great episode of television. Of course, this is a personal list, not an objective list. So I would put this one in S. I would don't expect it to stay at the top, though. We'll put it in S and see where it goes from there. But yeah, this is a really great episode. Skirmish in the Sky. I don't even remember what was in this one. Oh, wait. I know. It's the one where they go it's the shopping episode. It's the episode where the Sonic pals, the Fuzzy Buddies, go out and except for Sonic, into public because they can now. And everybody's just kind of looking at them because it's the alien freaks going out and about. And how they're just kind of get used to that. I think this one has a good source of laughs. It's not, in terms of a plot, it's not the best. Like, I think the climax is a little bit lackluster. Well, I guess, no, there was some pretty good bits with the car chase. That was pretty good, I guess. But, yeah, I'll put this one... We'll put it here, in B. It's pretty good. Pretty funny. Alright, we need to get a move on. We're only halfway through season 1, so let's keep this going. Depths of Danger, also known as the Sunken Ship in the Southern Sea, or something like that. I like this one. This one was a pretty funny episode, a pretty good way to integrate the plot of finding a Chaos Emerald. Some good jokes about Sonic getting trying to get underwater. This is where the signpost meme comes from. Because Chris and Sonic held up signs for, like, the audience in the Japanese version, but 4Kids scrubbed because it was in Japanese, 4Kids scrubbed the text off the signs, but they left them in just blank, which is why it became kind of a meme. Typical 4Kids, I guess. Anyways, so, yeah, I'd say this one is, Put it here in B. Adventures of Knuckles and Hawk. Underrated episode, in my opinion. Sonic's not in this one, it's just Knuckles, and I think Rouge is in it as well. And I think Hawk could be a bit of a klutzy comic relief sidekick, but you can see how Knuckles was able to form a bond with him. He's kind of like a... it kind of makes me think of Wade in a few ways, except not as pathetic, because, you know, at least this guy is a treasure hunter to some extent. He'll go out and do some actual adventuring, even if he's not very good at it. But I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I can see how Knuckles is able to make friends with some of the weak and not as, I guess, uncool the types that are, I guess, the fool types. Anyways, I like this one. You know, we'll put it low A. We'll put it here. Okay. The Dam Scam. D-A-M. Damn, that's not... it's not Shadow the Hedgehog content. This one's kind of mediocre in my opinion. You know, it's set in Africa. There's a couple gags that are funny, but I think the way that that they get the business or whatever to shut down their thing, their dam, building the dam, is a little bit unrealistic. I don't know. I guess this one just didn't seem all that fun to me. Just kind of whatever. I'm not sure if D rank is really... You know what? Yeah, we'll put it there. Above Techno Teacher. Sonic Scream Test. This is the first anything Sonic X I ever saw before I really knew anything about it. I think I was just scrolling YouTube and I found there was a video thumbnail of Amy with the possessed King Boom Boo look, and I just thought, oh, Sonic creepypasta, I guess. But I realized it was on the official TMS channel. I was like, wait, this is a real thing? This isn't like a fan-made creepypasta or whatever? And I watched it and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is official. And I fell down the rabbit hole, and that's how we got here. I thought this one was okay. You know, it's a bit spooky. It definitely lives up to its name. I think Amy is, I mean, she gets dumb by the end of the episode, but she's, I think it's, you know, kind of shows how has a bit more of a spine than Chris does in this one. So we'll put this one... We'll give it a high C. Above here. There we go. All right. Oh, we got... I'm sorry to someone... I haven't been looking at the chat, so I kind of missed that. Let's see. Randall Badger, question. Ever heard of a song called What's Up by Four Non Blondes? If you haven't, you should listen to it. I listened to it all night. No, I haven't heard of it. Yeah, I'll put that on the list, I guess. Yeah, sure, I'll check it out. I'm not gonna listen to it on stream because copyright, but yeah, I'll definitely take a listen. Okay, where are we? Cruise Blues. This is a really funny episode. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Okay. This is... I think this is one of the best episodes in terms of comedy. There's a lot of great gags in this one, and there's a lot of humor to be found, both English and Japanese, of Sonic's misery aboard the cruise ship. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah. So I would rank this one as a... You know what? I'm not sure if I'm ready to put it above here. But you know what? I'll put it high A right here. I think it's really that funny. Okay. Fast Friends. This one's alright. It's a race. It's the episode where Sonic races Sam. It's... And Jerome loses his job and becomes a beggar for the rest of the series. Honestly, pretty sad, actually, how they don't treat Jerome very well. Yeah. I'll put this one... I'll put it above the baseball episode. Right, Little Chow Lost. This one's fine. They go to Japan. They see a few things. Sonic meets some geishas. And eats food. And then, makes a bunch of anime girls squeal. I don't know. That's not even the plot. That's like the Sonic stuff going on in the background. The plot is that they find some Chao sanctuary that really doesn't make a lot of sense when you consider how the Sonic characters got there and how Chao can just magically exist in this world. But it's fine. Put it... yeah, honestly. We'll put it there. Low C. Emerald Anniversary. I always thought this one was pretty funny. And I thought it led to a lot of funny visuals. There's obviously the scene of... the scene of Eggman and the robots chasing Sonic and friends all over the different movie sets, and they pay homage to a bunch of different films. There's the meme of Tails holding up Boko on the Titanic. And, I don't know, I think there's a pretty funny visual of how, Rouge and Topaz, who's not even in uniform, she's just wearing, like, a regular undershirt, they just tackle Eggman on the Eggmobile, and it just looks really weird and funny out of context. Also, I think that might be the episode where Mr. Tanaka attempts seppuku. Anyways, yeah, we'll put this one in A tier. We'll put it here. Yeah. Love Chaos Control Freaks. How to Catch a Hedgehog. This one was just whatever, in my opinion. I don't think... It doesn't make a ton of sense why Sonic just starts running because there's a little thing in his ear. There was a few funny gags. Yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there was a lot of... there was some... one thing I like is the little doodles they had. They had some little doodle things in this episode. And, I like the gag where... Oh, what was it? The gag where they put, like, bubblegum balloon things on Sonic and makes him float away. And particularly in the Japanese version where he's just floating away, Junichi Kanemaru, Sonic's Seiyu voice actor, he is just going irate on when Sonic is floating through the air, like screaming at the top of his lungs, and it's hysterical. And then I especially like where he's just floating by, and then Knuckles is looking at him from across the river, and he's just like, what is, just like, huh? I don't know what I just walked into, but I don't like it. I don't know. Anyway, that's a funny gag. The rest of the episode is fine. Eggman doesn't do much. You know, Sam Speed doesn't do much. So, I'll put it here. Okay. Dastardly Deed. This one's pretty alright. I mean, they got... I think most of this episode is just kind of that one Bell robot Lucky, who I don't even think we see for the rest of the show. He's just kind of... Oh, wait, well, yeah, he was in the Sonic Battle arc, but he just kind of bumbles around. And then we have Knuckles kind of being a little dumb again. Not as dumb as in Cracking Knuckles. Excuse me. But still. Yeah, I don't really know. I suppose it leaves a lot of tension how they get Chris gets captured at the end, but I think this one is just kind of okay. Put it low B. Well, we'll put it above Cracking Knuckles. Okay. Countdown to Chaos. I really like this one. It's the season finale of season 1. So I think it builds up to the climax well, particularly in the Japanese version. There's a very good choice of music, whether you lots of people have seen in the original airing they had some insert Japanese pop song to go. Actually fits pretty well. I think it's kind of sad. But even the international version that you watch that they have on Hulu and the Blu-ray is pretty good too. I don't think the English dub lives up to it. I think the performances are a little lackluster when they could have been very dramatic. And I think the music choices were very mid. But we're not basing it off the English version. We're going by the Japanese version. And I think the Japanese version was pretty exceptional. Very exciting. You know what? Maybe controversial. I think this tops our list. Yeah, I'm putting it above. I think objectively, this is a better episode of television, probably. But I just, this is a very subjective list, and I think this one tops it. All right, so there's our season 1 ranking. Worst best. Techno Teacher, Damn Scam, Little Child Lost, Satellite Swindle, Unfair Ball, Fast Friends, How to Catch a Hedgehog, Scream Test, Cracking Knuckles, Dastardly Deed. Yeah, Beating Eggman. You get it. Oh man, my voice. I've been talking too long. I need a drink of water. You know what? I'm going to go take a quick water break. And while I'm gone, I will listen to that song that you mentioned, Randall Badger. And I'll tell you what I think of it when I come back. Yeah, it'll just take a second. Oh yeah, Maurice Long, Christmas Maria the Hedgehog. Hi. Hi, Maurice Long, Christmas Maria Hedgehog. Thanks for tuning into the stream. What do you think of the list? Okay. All right. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Yeah. 1 second. There we go. Okay. Randall Badger. You son of a gun. You got me to listen to that. You tricked me into listening to the He-Man meme song. I had no idea what that song was called. Well played, honestly. Well played. Well, now I know that if I ever want to make a He-Man hey yay yay meme, I know what the song is called. Alright. My little microphone interface is running out of battery, so we may have to speed this up. Alright, we're back. Okay. Onwards we go. Season 2. Pure Chaos. I think it's alright. I think they could have adapted the beginning of Sonic Adventure a little better. I think the way that Chaos attacks is a little bit underwhelming, and how they just kind of speed through his first few forms. So I'm gonna put this one here, honestly. Yeah. Chaotic Day. What was in this one? It's hard for me to remember some of the long arc episodes, because they just tell the story of the adventure games, and I have to remember which plot beats were in which episode. Oh gosh. Anyways, I don't remember what was in this one. You know what? Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna look on the Sonic Wiki real quick, and read the plot summary so I can remember what happened. Let me see. What was it? A Chaotic Day? Was that it? Yeah. Okay. Knuckles recalls how Chaos destroyed the Master Emerald. Suspecting that Chaos is controlling Froggy, the gang decides to head their own ways in search of rescuing Froggy and recovering the Chaos Emerald. Well, that doesn't tell me much. Let's see. Alright, they're in the room, I know that. Tried Biggs in this. Okay, so Knuckles has his first vision in this one. Was it 4,000 years? I always thought it was 3,000 years. It says 4,000 years here. Weird. Anyways. Windy Valley. Okay, so that's where they have the little run-in with Chaos 4, I guess. Oh, yeah, they have a little, thing about Sonic and, Tails having a little run-in. I thought it was the episode where Sonic meets Tails, but now I'm remembering that was in a different episode. Anyways, I think the fact that I couldn't remember much about this one says that it probably is one of the weaker ones. So, I'm gonna put it here. I don't know. I'm just kind of guessing there. A Robot Rebels. I think I remember what is in this one. Amy gets kidnapped. They have the bird. There's this weird moment in the episode where Amy likes... there's this weird moment in the episode that is only in the Japanese version, and it doesn't... Nothing like it has appeared anywhere else in the entire franchise. Where basically, Amy... psychically I'm not sure if that's the word for it, but she sends like a message to Sonic through her mind. It's weird. She just like says a thing to the bird where it's like, did you know that if you think hard about someone, they may be able to hear your thoughts? And then Sonic has a moment where he thinks he hears Amy, even though he's on the top of a plane. So maybe they were hinting that Amy has psychic powers or something, or like mind powers. I don't know. Maybe that's why she was able to tell the future in Sonic CD. Who knows? Maybe the cards. Maybe it had nothing to do with the cards. Anyways, I'm going to make sure that this thing keeps running and takes up my voice, because I have no idea if it's just going to give out at any moment and I might have to switch microphones. I hope that doesn't come to that. Anyways, yeah, this is a pretty good one. Well, actually, I don't remember much else that was in it. Gamma's in it, I guess. I don't know. The Sonic Adventure ones are all just gonna kind of be ranked based on the moments that I can remember from them, because they're all from the same game. So we'll just put it... I don't know. This is gonna be very random. We'll put it here. Heads Up Tails. This is the episode where Tails saves the city, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Let me confirm that. Last piece of the Master Emerald. Yeah. I think is this the episode where they've got like that weird vending machine in Eggman's on the egg carrier? That might have been the previous one. I don't remember. Anyways, let's see. Yeah, this is the Chaos 6 one. Wait, where's Tails? Does Tails actually save the city in this episode? That might be the next episode. No, it's probably not. It's not the next episode. Let me see. Yeah, he does it in this one. Okay. Yeah, we'll put it a little higher than the last one. I don't know, but I'm just gonna put it right in front of it. Revenge of the Robot. This is the one where, spoilers, if you haven't played Sonic Adventure, or Sonic X. I don't know why you're watching this stream if you haven't seen Sonic X, but Gamma dies. Gamma the robot. I'd say this one was... I don't know. The Sonic Adventure arc is just all kind of in B territory for me. We'll put this one a little higher. We'll put it here. And then the final episode, Flood Fight. It's pretty it's pretty good for a climax. I'm not sure if... Yeah, there's not much I can say, I guess. It's the ending of Sonic Adventure, basically. Chris is stupid in this episode because he keeps tripping on his own feet and losing the Chaos Emeralds. That might be the whole arc, though. I don't know. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put this one in high B, but it's underneath Beating Eggman Part 2. Because I thought, well, actually, no, I take that back. We'll put it above that one, just a hair. Because there is some good stuff with Tikal in that one. And I do feel a sense of closure, catharsis at the very end of the episode, kind of like the original Sonic Adventure. Okay, and then we begin the Shadow arc. Now, I will say I might be a bit biased because when I first watched the Shadow Saga, I didn't know much about the Sonic games, and I had no idea that this was based on a game, Sonic Adventure 2. I thought it was all the show, or I thought the show had come up with the majority of it, and it was one of my favorite parts of the show when I first saw it. So, just putting that out there. I think it adapts the Shadow Saga. It adapts Sonic Adventure 2 much better than it adapted Sonic Adventure. But I think it was just easier to do that because they didn't have 6 different, character plot lines that they needed to converge into one story. Anyways, first episode is pretty good, a pretty solid episode. It's a little slow. I'll give it that. It does kind of feel like the beginning of a movie, rather than the beginning of an episode. You know what? I'm putting it here. We'll put it here. It's pretty good, pretty tense. This one is a good one. The animation does, I think, takes a bit of a dip in this one. I don't think the animation quality is very good, but I think it's well adapted of Sonic and Shadow's first meeting. I think the way that the humans kind of mistake Sonic and Co. We'll put it low A for now. The way that Sonic and Co. You know what? I think this episode. I'm just spitballing here, but I think this episode might be a little too high. I was feeling we were going to be moving some around, but I feel like this one should be lower. Yeah, we'll put it here. Anyways, so yeah, this one, Shadow Knows, is what it's called. I think they set up Shadow. The reveal of Shadow is done pretty good. I don't know. I just say it's a solid episode. Sonic's Big Break. This one is pretty good. A little kind of disjointed. Definitely the middle of the story compared to Shadow Knows, but it's Amy gets a little time to shine here by breaking Sonic out. I think that little underrated gag is Chris and Tanaka just going on the swan boat and then pedaling towards the base at full speed, and they look from it when the guy is look at them through the binoculars, they look ridiculous in the outfits that they have. I thought that was pretty funny. You know what? I'm putting this above. I'm putting this above the Chaos. Well, actually, I'll put it just under the Chaos episode. Okay, there. Oh, please hold together. Hold together. My microphone thing. Okay. We're an hour in, and we're about halfway through the show. Yeah, I guess I'll have to talk less. Shadow World. Don't know why it's called that. Eggman blows up the moon in this one. I think it's done fine. I think it could have been done a little more climactically like the game, but it's done well here. They don't really explain how Topaz just kind of accepts that. I guess she might not have ever believed it in the first place, but just kind of accepts that the Sonic crew are innocent. I think we get, this is the one where we get the Maria flashbacks. So it also has that going for it. The first Maria flashback, anyways. Now, I'll put it here. Hi, B. Robotnik's Revenge. I like this one. I think this one is very tense. I think this, where you can kind of feel the climax building. And obviously the flashbacks with Maria. Mr. Schmitz. I think the Mr. Schmitz story is very good. Very well done. The Japanese version is very powerful. Some people like the English version better, and I can respect that. Not sure if I agree, but... yeah. So, this is definitely an A episode. A tier. You know what? Yeah, I'll put... This one goes above Cruise Blues. It's really high. Actually, you know what? Low S. This is a really great episode. Well, yeah, fine. We don't have very many in the S tier, so we'll put it there. And then Showdown in Space, otherwise known as Maria's Wish, Everyone's Wish. This is a great episode. Great climax to the story of Sonic Adventure 2. It used to be my favorite episode when I didn't know that it was just adapting a game. It's still one of my favorites. I think this one tops our list. Hang on, I can't reach it. It goes above the Countdown to Chaos. It's a great episode. Okay. Jameer Gaming Extra Vids. I am a Sonic fan. Me too, Jameer Gaming Extra Vids. Me too. Hello, testing. Oh, that is loud. 1 second. Hello, hello, hello. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. I am so sorry about that. I am truly, truly sorry. Oh, man. Hang on. That's not what I want. Okay. So, I was saying earlier that... Oh man, this is so loud. This is generating a lot of noise. Okay. Hello. I need to keep this at a distance away from me so that it doesn't pick up everything I say. Okay, so... I was just saying earlier that the microphone was getting ready to die, and it did on me as I was reading out the chat. I'm so sorry about that, Chamber Gaming Extra Vids. As I was talking to you, my microphone gave out. Fortunately, I have a backup. It's not as good. It's quite crappy compared to the one that I was just using, but... I didn't come prepared for this. I'm sorry, that is my fault. I will do better next time. Yeah, so I'm gonna set my my regular one to charge while I use this backup one. This cheap backup one. Alright, give me another second. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, sorry about the lower audio quality, but we will not be deterred. We will not be denied. I will finish this ranking one way or another. All right. Where were we? It's so much louder now because I gotta use the my headphones on the, the thing as a direct line instead of through the OBS, whatever. Okay. I gotta think. The microphone is so far away because it's so loud and so strong that I gotta keep it at a distance. And so I'm thinking to lean into the old one that's charging, and it doesn't do any... Whatever, okay. Defective Detectives. This is a funny one. It's funnier in Japanese than it is in English, but it's funny regardless. There's not too much of a plot. There's just... They kind of set up the Egg Moon thing for the next episode. But there's like a little... an interesting conversation that Sonic and Eggman have just sitting atop a hill, which is pretty cool. Little bit of an existential self-aware conversation. And obviously the Chaotix. There's some good fourth wall jokes, particularly in the Japanese version. It's a fun episode. It's not the best, but it's fun. So I'll put this here. I think that's a pretty good place for it. Sunblock Solution. I have mixed feelings on the Egg Moon Saga. Honestly. I don't really... when I first watched it, I found it quite frustrating how Sonic did not tell anyone what he was doing. and why he was doing it. And they explain it, I think, in episode, that he just assumed that everyone was on the same page, which obviously not. I just think that's a bit of a weird way to ride around it. It's kind of what there are some people that think that Sonic is a little bit different than the game Sonic. He's like a little too mean, too much of a jerk, and I think this episode is what people are talking about when they say that. Because he doesn't tell anyone, he doesn't explain what's going on, he just starts blowing things up, and everybody thinks he's become a terrorist. But you do get... Well, that's for the next episode. I don't know. This one is... We'll put it here. Eggman for president. Kind of the same thing. Basically just to continue it. It's basically just... It was basically just an hour-long episode, and this is the second half of it. It probably goes in the same area. There's a scene where Tails crashes his plane into the White House. Which, you know, considering when this came out, a bit of a bold move, Sega. Just saying. What were you trying to say there? I'll put this a little bit higher. You know, this might be... I don't know. There's some explanation. There's like, actually, you know what? Let me talk about this for a second. I know we're running short on time, but I gotta mention one of my gripes with the Japanese versions, particularly. I think the English dub actually improved on this. Not by much, but there's an explanation that Amy gives that's kind of like the moral that she gives Chris as to what when Chris is just like, how can I believe Sonic? How do I know that Sonic, when it goes against all logic, how can I believe that Sonic is the one in the right? And in the Japanese version, Amy basically gives what I assume was supposed to be the moral of the episode, which is just, oh, I believe Sonic is in the right because I like him. Yeah, that's it. That's why I believe him, because I like him. I kind of get what they were going for, but that was just a terrible way of putting it. You know, that's not really a good way to insinuate trust. Like at least the dub kind of said, oh, well, yeah, Sonic and I have been through our ups and downs, but he always comes through in the end. Basically, what that was saying was, I trust Sonic because I know Sonic. That I felt like is a much better moral. But anyways, that's just a small part of the episode, I guess. So, I don't know, I think the Eggman president jokes are kind of fun, so I'll just put this one slightly higher than the other one. I've been talking for a while again, and my voice is starting to feel that way. Gosh. Alright. Let's get a move on. It's 8 Eastern Time, 8:10. It's getting late. A Date to Forget. Okay, this is the Sonic... No, this is the one with Amy in the car and taking the date with Sam Speed. This is a much better episode in Japanese than it is in English, because they cut out a big scene in the English dub. That was just... that was a really interesting conversation of Sam and Amy just talking about their relationships with Sonic and how basically what the speed life gets you. And I don't know, it's been a while since I saw that version, but I feel like the dub did it very dirty. Emerald's on the cover. That means he shows up in this episode. He doesn't have he's not very important in it. It's mostly about Sam, Speed, and the date with Amy. I'd say that this is a pretty decent, low B episode. Yeah, this is a pretty good spot for it, I'd say. Mean Machines. I think this is just kind of a whatever one. Appliances come to life. About what you'd expect. Eggman's in jail. Chris is sick, if you remember that. I don't know. Anyways. If you're coming into the stream right now, whoever is doing that, I very much apologize for the microphone quality. My regular microphone gave out in the middle of the stream, and I had to very quickly swap it out with a much more cheap and, crummier one. So if I sound bad, I greatly apologize. My voice is also not doing great right now, so... Anyways, Mean Machines. This is I think one of the other ones right before the end of season 2 that calls out kind of the relationship between Chris and his parents, which we'll go much more into later in the show. But as is, I'd say this is a pretty C tier episode. I think it's this is like quintessential C tier. So we'll put it here. Actually, yeah, put it a little in front, right in the middle. Alright. Sewer Search. This is a pretty unique episode in that Sonic is also not in it very much, and it's mostly about Chris and his classmates, and them kind of getting on Mr. Stewart for spying on them, being all creepy. They get kidnapped by Eggman. There's some jokes with Bokoon and Cake, him liking Ella's stuff. I don't know. There's some decent gags, but it's kind of another whatever episode, I'd say. I'll rank it. Give it a low B. Give it some points for the unique cast of characters. Alright, Sonic Battle Arc. Prize fights. I don't know, I also kind of have mixed feelings on the Sonic Battle Arc. It's just kind of your typical tournament thing, where they just go back and forth between different characters. I suppose if someone is really into that, they might rank these higher. Prize fights is pretty much nothing but this. I'll put it here. That's fine. Wild Win. Okay, so this is the end of the tournament arc. The first half of this episode is basically just the tournament continued, and then the latter half is Emerald turning Station Square into a wasteland, and the Sonic characters fighting off that. It is a little bit, I guess, funny how quickly the episode kicks into high gear and the stakes just immediately shoot up out of nowhere. How it suddenly goes from this regular low stakes tournament arc to a world level threat. I think a lot of people will probably say that this one should be higher up because of it has a very emotional ending, especially in the Japanese version with its choice of music and whatnot, of Cream and Cheese being, forced to fight Emerald, who they were very close to. So I kind of have a mixed feelings on how they go about it, because Japanese almost... I think for the most part, it's very good. I think they played it a little too hard by the very end. I think Cream's actress, her Japanese actress, very good, obviously. She did a great job. I think they just play it so dramatic in the end. And the way that it's framed, it just is one of the most downer episodes possible. That I honestly don't blame 4Kids for toning it down. Because, on the one hand, they didn't make it nearly as climactic, nearly as emotional, and I was like, oh, that sucks. It's like, you took away a lot of the heartbreak and all of that, and the tragedy. But then I watched the Japanese version again, and I'm like, okay, they were laying this on way too thick. You know? This is too much for a children's show, especially the way that, I mean, Cream is just screaming bloody murder as the credits start rolling. It was too much. Anyways, we'll put this one. Not sure if it's good enough to be A. We'll put it here. I think it's still the Japanese version. The ending, it might go a little too far, but what they do aside from that, I think is strong enough to warrant this ranking. All right, Map of Mayhem. I think this is the one with the volcano, isn't it? Yeah, this one's all right. There's some stakes in this one. They kind of introduced the professor character a little out of nowhere. There's a moment in the beginning that I like of Sonic trying to cheer Cream up, and she's still kind of recovering from the previous episode. So, funny thing about this screenshot, this little picture representing the episode, Map of Mayhem, doesn't exist in the dub. If you've only seen the dub, you're probably wondering where this picture comes from. It's from a deleted scene in the Japanese version where, after Deku and Boko steal the map from the museum and they run off, they run into Knuckles. They make him drop his food. Knuckles gets mad, chases after them. And to keep this a safe for work stream, we'll just say he chases them into a dance club. We'll say that. A dance club. They lose him there. Deku and Boko stay longer than they needed to. And they come back with some lip marks over them. It's an alright episode. We'll give it a... We'll put it here. Alright. Let's finish up Season 2 so we can get this over with. Oh, man. Volcanic Venture. So this is... excuse me. This is the next episode continued. They kind of... like, the volcano episode, Map Mayhem, had its own climax, but this is kind of... oh, what happens after the climax? There's another big adventure after the climax. It's pretty unique in that they kind of go under tunnels, find the civilization. We don't get to learn a lot about said civilization, so that's a little disappointing, but... there's also... this is also the episode where they introduced a romance between Topaz and Tanaka, and it comes out of freaking nowhere. I don't know. It never worked for me. It was just like, what? Why are these two a thing suddenly? it was weird. It did. Aside from that, it's alright. I think it's a little weaker than the episode that preceded it, so not great for a part 2. We'll put it... here. I think that's fine. Alright, and now we're coming up on the last 4 episodes. The beginning of the end. I'm trying to remember what was in this one exactly. There's some scenes where Amy gets a job, and they're talking about the Sonic Freedom Movement. Oh yeah, they cut that scene from the English dub. Sorry. Japanese... still, we're going by the Japanese version. But there's like a Sonic Freedom Movement. There's like people cosplaying as Sonic. It's weird. Painting pictures, making wooden sculptures. It's a little... I guess it is kind of fun in seeing how Sonic has impacted the world around him since he's been on Earth. That's kind of interesting. The whole time worlds coming together thing that they introduced at the end of the episode, it's a little bit forced, but you buy it well enough. I think the emotions that Chris goes through is understandable for someone his age and someone in his position. So, it's pretty good. I think this is also the episode where Chris runs away and he runs into Eggman. So, yeah, I'd say this is a pretty good one. You know what? Put it here. Yeah. Running out of time. I don't remember much about this one. I think there was like some secret plot by a warden or someone, or some gun agent, where there's trying to blow up a place with Sonic's friend, and with Eggman and Sonic's friend. I think there's a cut scene in this episode where Bo-Kun is bribed with a bunch of like female Bo-Kuns that I have no idea where those came from. There's a question exactly what Bo-Kun is. And of course there's the ending. The very controversial ending, which we'll get to that for the next episode. I think it's a pretty good ending, and actually, there's a scene in this where you could kind of tell that this was where they were originally planning to end the show, because there's a scene in the Japanese version that they cut out of the English version, and I think the reason they did that was because by that time they knew more episodes were coming. Is that when the Space Colony arc just powers up just out of nowhere for some reason to power the portal to go back to Sonic's world, there's a little shot of the controls on the arc operating on their own, with like a little fade in of Shadow and Maria holding hands, and I'm like, was that supposed to imply Shadow and Maria's ghosts or something, like operating the controls to send Sonic and friends home? I feel like that's what they were going for, and if this was to be the end of the show, they wouldn't have been able to bring Shadow back, so they thought, oh, well, if Shadow's dead, then, he'd be with Maria or something. I guess that's what they were going for. Of course, that didn't end up happening because there's more show to go on, and we later find out Shadow was not dead. Anyways, I don't know. I think it's a little bit weaker than this one, so we'll put it here. This is good. Alright. How long has it been? It's been about 20 minutes. I'm probably going to let it charge a little bit longer. Maybe we'll get it part way into season 3 and then we'll swap out the microphones again. Okay. We'll get to the end of season 2 and then I need another water break because my voice is not doing well. Okay, friends till the end. Okay, so definitely probably the most controversial episode in the series. Lots of people hate it. Lots of people love it. I think you either love or hate this one. Some people say that the English dub ruined the episode. Some people say that it didn't matter, it was bad anyways. Some people say that it's good regardless of if it's in dub or not. What do I think? Y'all are gonna hate me for this. Y'all are really gonna hate me for this. Yeah. This is one of the best episodes in my opinion. And I like it better than the Helen episode. I am not sorry. I think, with the Japanese version at least in mind, Chris's actions in the first few minutes of this episode are completely understandable. They're not right. They're not justifiable. He's wrong to do so, obviously. But I completely get why he did it. And I don't think that makes him spoiled. I don't think he is a jerk for doing so. I think he is... like, he's just a neglected kid. He's a kid that has been isolated his whole life. And people say, oh, well, he had his schoolmates. There's a difference between schoolmates and close friends. Okay? He didn't really have, as far as we know, he wasn't really that close with his schoolmates prior to Sonic and Co. arriving on Earth. And he saw his life as dull, as he would be just led into this life that was scripted out for him. And Sonic is the first thing in his life that actually gives him excitement, a little bit of meaning, a little bit of adventure, and we find out that the reason he shuts the lever off, it's a purely emotional decision. Or not, it's hardly even a decision, more of a reflex, a reaction. And well, given the fact of a child, someone in his position, just doing things they don't know why they do it. Children are unpredictable like that. They don't think logically. They don't, it does, I guess you could say it makes him selfish, but it doesn't make him a horrible person to do what he did. It makes him a very disturbed person, someone that is in need of help, is in need of affection. And I feel like the affection of parents, the affection of a mother figure and a father figure is not something so easily replicated. Not something that could be so easily replicated by by Ella or Tanaka. And Sonic is especially... people praise the one before, That's What Friends Are For, is a great example of Sonic's character. This is another great, maybe even an even better example of Sonic's character. It's how he doesn't really know what's going on with Chris, but he knows that it's something he needs to work through, and he does it instead of getting mad, instead of being like, oh, what the heck, Chris, let go of me, or like, why on earth would you do that? He goes along with him. He just kind of says, okay, we'll do what you want. And that kind of makes Chris question himself, because he was expecting Sonic to get mad. He was just being like, what do I do now? And the whole episode is them going through this journey, this just kind of running off to nowhere. Or rather to the last place that Chris remembers being in a real family. And the scene of them sitting by the campfire is such an excellent scene, such an excellent piece of television. English and Japanese, honestly. I think the people don't give the dubbed version of aside from like people give a lot of crap to the dub of this episode compared to the Japanese version. But aside from the opening scene where they cut out of Chris's parents leaving when he's a small child, they cut that context, and that led to a lot of the backlash for it. Aside from that, I'd say it's adapted pretty well. I'd say they do it justice. But yeah, anyways, I just went and rambled off on this one because I feel very strongly towards it in a positive way, and I know that a lot of people hate it, and a lot of people hate Sonic X for it. Like, that episode defines the show for them in a negative way. And it defines Chris Thorndike in a very negative way for many people. But yeah, I love it. I really love that episode. It's a very excellent TV episode. Anyways, it's 8:34. Last episode of Season 2, water break, and then we come back for the home stretch, Metarex Saga. Okay. New start. This is basically the epilogue episode. I think it's about the same in both English and Japanese. I definitely like I think the music is definitely what makes the difference for me, for the Japanese version being way better. But that's just kind of the show in general. So there are two things that I will say about this episode, is that they have, when they show the houses, they apparently have these signs outside the houses, and 4Kids scrubs them. In the English version, they're just signs with blanks. And it's really funny how in the one where Sonic and Amy are reunited, there's a shot where they zoom right in on the sign that says the House of Amy Rose, for the purposes of the scene. 4Kids leaves in that shot, but they scrubbed the sign. They scrubbed the sign and replaced it with nothing. It's just so now the camera focuses on a blank sign for no reason, and that's so funny. And then the other sign outside Cream's house is that in the Japanese version, it reads, the House of Cream's mom. Not the House of Cream, not the House of Vanilla the Rabbit or anything. The House of Cream's mom. I'd really like to know who was the architect or home designer on that house and that sign. Maybe there was a mix-up in the bureaucracy. I don't know. I guess by the time they made this one, they might have also decided to make a season 3, because there is a scene at the end that where there's a big time skip, and it does hint at there being another season. But it could have been a very good place to end the show regardless. Also, international version, not the original airing, but the international release of the Japanese version, you can see it on Hulu and the Blu-ray, has the last scene from Sonic Adventure 2 plays at the end. So that's pretty cool. Good episode. Might be a little too epilogue-y, a little bit too mundane for me personally. I'd still put it pretty high up, but it's like here. Yeah, I'll put it there. Okay. I need to go get a drink of water before my voice disappears. So, yeah. I'll be right back. Another 2-3 minutes. So hang tight. Maybe I can switch the microphones back. We'll see. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay. I think we're good. Okay, we're back to the old mic. Yay. Or at least, I think this will last us the remainder of the stream. Also, I brought a bottle of water with me, so this time I don't have to go back to the kitchen if I need a drink. So, all right, home stretch. Let's finish this up. Oh, excuse me. All right. Quick look at our show so far. All right. Cosmic Call. Honestly, I think it's a decent episode. In general, I think the opening establishes a lot. You know, makes things mysterious, like, oh, who's this guy that, you know, beat Supersonic? I think the introduction of Cosmo is well done. Generates a lot of mystery. I think it's nice to see more of Sonic's world and all that. Also establishes kind of the weird relationship that Sonic and Eggman have at this point in the series, where they're not really friends, but they're not really enemies either. At least not big enemies. So yeah, this is pretty good. Pretty good action episode as well. So I would put this. I just realized we got a lot of these in B tier. Yeah, put it right here. Cosmic Crisis. This is the episode where Chris comes back, turns into a kid again. He's, Cosmo trauma dumps on the group of her story and how her people were G-worded. I don't know if YouTube is going to hit me if I say the word, but it's the G word. And there's another fight at the end of this episode, and we see the Blue Typhoon for the first time. Honestly, I think this is another really solid one. I think we're going to be getting a lot more A episodes in the next few, because I really like Season 3. So, I think this is a really solid one. I think I just like how Cosmo kind of enters into the main cast. I don't know. It's simultaneously an adventure episode, action adventure episode, while we also get to learn a lot more about the characters. Just kind of doing normal things, that is, when they're packing the ship. So I would put this one. Put this one here. H2O. This is a pretty good one. This is the first one where they kind of directly acknowledge that Chris is pretty useless character when compared to the other characters. And he's like, oh man, I'm the useless audience surrogate. How do I make myself useful? And the episode solution probably could have been done better. It's basically become Tails light. He becomes Tails, but not as smart. Which is fine. There's some pretty good humor in this episode. There's there's a really funny visual of Amy standing on the X-Tornado holding a fishing pole, and Sonic's just tied up on the other end of it. So, I don't know. This one's just kind of fine. I get it. It's a good one, but it's kind of fine. So I would put this one, here. It's fine. We'll put it there. An enemy in need. This is where they really start to play up the Knuckles falling for Eggman's tricks episode. And I am glad that the show, at the very least, has the self-awareness to realize that it's getting pretty ridiculous. Because they do have, like, all the characters... Like, Knuckles actually brings it up to the... he doesn't just make decisions on their behalf. He actually brings it up to the group. And the group is just like, heck no. What are you doing? And Knuckles really tries to stick to his guns. And he proves to be wrong yet again. I think there's a... Hold on. Take a sip of my water there. I think there's a funny... there's a funny gag where Cosmo is like... sees Sonic and Knuckles getting ready to fight, and she thinks that this is like a major turning point, like a major source of drama that's going to rip their group apart or something, and she's like... She looks to the others like, let's stop them or something, and they're all just letting it happen. They're not even paying attention. They're doing their own things. Just like, oh yeah, this is what they do. You know, this is how they settle their arguments. Settle their disagreements. We'll just give them a few minutes. They'll be fine. This is also where the Eggman Delicious Banana memes comes from. So it's got that going for it. Anyways. We'll put it here. Chilling Discovery. I remember this one being better in the Japanese version. When I watched it again in English, I wasn't sure if that... But I'm not sure if that was the dub's fault, or if I was just remembering it wrong. But... I think it's a fine one. It's a pretty good one. It's a little tense, you know, with it being on the planet, how it's basically already a dead planet. It's not above Project Shadow, but... Wait, we'll put it, here. That's fine. Actually, maybe a little bit lower. We'll do it there. Desperately Seeking Sonic. This is a pretty... I liked this one, honestly. It's kind of low stakes. Like, it's a little bit slow compared to the others. But we don't get many episodes where we just focus on the girls having their own adventure. And I think there's a lot of funny gags in this one. The English version cuts it down a little bit, but I thought it was funny. This is actually, strangely enough, where they get one of the episodes that has some of the better animation. I don't know why, this one in particular, but yeah, this is a good one. I'd put this one... Put it there. The Cosmo no, wait, that's the one below it. Galactic Gumshoes. This one's kind of funny. It does get a little bit unreasonable in the second half, I'd say. How Vector basically gives into a bunch of delusions regarding Vanilla the Rabbit. On the one hand, it does kind of sound like something he would do. On the other hand, it's taken to a bit of a Flanderizing level. And I think Espio going along with it is not something that he would do. So and I think it's just resolved a little too quickly. So I think this one is kind of a lower C tier episode. Put it, here is fine. I think the space setting helps it. It's just, I just find the Meteor Saga to be having a more exciting overall setting. Tricksand. I don't remember what this one is about, other than the fact that Shadow wakes up. Hold on, let me look up this one real quick. Come on. Rouge aboard Cribs and Egg discovers secret and blah 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 blah. Okay, so there's a flashback with Chris remembering SA2. Comlink. Oh, is this the Hobodon episode? Yeah, it's the Kimba the White Lion episode. I don't know. As you can see here, this image, this is the character that they show called the Hobodon, and a lot of people have pointed out it looks a lot like kind of a Mobian version of Kimba the White Lion. So that's kind of funny. I thought this one was a pretty good atmosphere, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, this is a good one. So plus the reveal of Shadow at the end is pretty good, so yeah. You know what, I might put this one here. It might be a little high. But yeah, I think these are gonna start getting higher as we go on. Ship of Doom. The Hell Ship, aka the Scar Ship, which they had to call the Scar Ship in the dub because 4Kids. I thought this one was dark. It is quite it's dark when you think about it for a little while. Not so much dark in content, but it's dark in implications. I also don't. I do remember they kind of changed the moral at the end of the episode, or what Cosmo's thoughts are about it, how she feels about it. But yeah, this was a good one. Very tense episode. I'd put this one. Put it. Actually, yeah, we'll put this one low A. Because I think it's a good one where Shadow kind of teams up with the others. There's some cool chaos control going on. Underground Odyssey. I like this one. I think it's a very cute episode with Cosmo and Tails. I liked it probably a lot better when I was younger and I bought a lot more into their romance. Nowadays, I still think it's quite cute. Pretty interesting too. I think this one goes... Probably gonna have to move some of these in B tier lower down to the C. Here. We'll put it there. Okay. Station Break-In. What was this one about? I am blanking on Station Break-In. Sonic Wiki, help me. Okay. Excuse me. Last two Chaos Emeralds. Oh, this one. Yeah, this is the one where they, basically Eggman and Sonic crew have a competition to chase after the Chaos Emeralds in a thing. This one's alright. I think it's just okay, though. I don't know. Put it here. I think that's fitting. Metarex Melee. This is mid-season finale. This is a pretty good one. Bit of a dark ending if you know what happens to Red Pine. Oh, this is also the one episode of the show where I think this was the first time ever, actually, up until, spoilers, Sonic Movie 3, where there's a fight of Super Sonic versus Super Shadow. So it's pretty good for that. Animation isn't quite as good as it is in the opening, but it's still solid. I'd put this one high up. Hold on. Get a little higher up there. It's hard to... Maybe not as good as that one, but... I don't know. It's hard to say. I'll put it here. For the time being. I could move it. Mission Match Up. I have a soft spot for this one. I think the Japanese version is much better because I think the dialogue is a little bit less dumbed down, and also there's like 2 or 3 scenes of like Vector's fantasy sequences of Cosmo and Tails hooking up in these really dramatic, parodies of romance that are really, really funny, especially with Vector dubbing over them as doing both of the voices that 4Kids got rid of for some reason. I don't know why they do this. There's also, this is just like one of the stronger Chaotix episodes, I believe. It's really, it just works. There's a lot of good jokes in it that just work. There's a moment in the dub that I always remember is the moment where they try to drop the handkerchief because they do the hanky thing with in the romances, and in the Japanese version the hanky has Vector's name on it, and that's how it goes wrong because Tails picks it up and realizes that it's not from Cosmo, it's from Vector. So he just reads the name off letter by letter. Vector. Vector. Hey, Vector, this is yours. In the English dub, he still does that, but they scrubbed his name off the hanky. But Tails still reads it as if it's still there. So there was obviously some kind of miscommunication between the writers and the censors, because they scrubbed the name off, but Tails still reads the name out loud, letter by letter. So, bit of a misstep there. Anyways, this is a really good, really funny episode. So I'd say this one is, I don't know. I like it better. I like it better than this one. Hold on. Yeah, give it a high B. Maybe a low A because we need more. We need more space. What time is it? Oh, it's 9. Okay, we need to wrap this up. Well, we're halfway through season 3, so we only got, 11 episodes? 10 episodes left? Okay. Clash in the Cloister. This one is just kind of okay. I don't know. It's a Yellow Zelkova episode. There's a few parts in the dub that are pretty funny because Dan Green just kind of goes nuts in a few parts as Knuckles. But otherwise, it's just kind of whatever. of them trying to get through this cloister. I think there's a funny moment where the screen goes all warped, but I might be thinking of a different one. Anyways, yeah, this one's fine. It's might be another C tier. We'll put it here. Testing time, also known as teasing time. I don't know why they chose either of those names, because neither of them really fit the episode. And this is the notable episode because it's Dark Sonic. It's where he makes his one and only appearance in the whole show. Oh, we're out of music. Hold up. Gotta start it over. There we go. Anyways. Okay. Oh, I hope I haven't been sitting too far away from the microphone. Hope you'll hear me okay. Alright. So this one... I actually don't remember what happens in the first half of this episode. Black Narcissus is given a bigger spotlight. I think he definitely gives off more of an impression in the Japanese version than he does in the dub. Like, the dub voice isn't horrible, but I feel like they really could have done better with him. He seems like much more of that charismatic killer, or bad guy, if you will. Dark Sonic, I totally get why he was a fan favorite. I totally get why people want him to return. I also get why some people, like Ian Flynn, have said that they don't like him and never want him to return. They have their own arguments. Me, personally, I think he's cool. I think if he were to return, it would have to be in a very specific situation. Very, very, very specific. It's kind of like those once in a blue moon. It would have to be one of those once in a blue moon things that you would never see again, or not for a very, very long time. Also, Chris gets stabbed in this episode, so there's that. I don't know. I think this is, I don't know if this is A tier, but it's pretty good. We'll put it at the top of B, actually. I think I'll do that. If it'll let me. Revolutionary Tale. Okay. Yeah, so this is the one episode where 4Kids just straight up changed the ending. Like, it's not even... It's not even like simple edits or censorship that would just cut out a line or a little scene or anything or tone something down. They just straight up changed how the episode ended. I think it works in the Japanese. I don't really think it works in the English version. I think it is confusing. I think a lot of things later on in the show don't make sense if you go by the English timeline. But we're not going by the English timeline. We're basing this off Japan, and I think this is a really good episode, definitely an A tier. If I can get it up there. Hold on, let me put it there. Question is where? Is it S? Maybe it's an S. I'm not sure if it's an S tier episode. It certainly has an S tier last 5 minutes, but I'm not sure if it's an S tier all the way through. I'll put it here. I think that's a good spot for it. It's a very good episode. Planet of Misfortune. This is a funny episode. There's a lot of gags in this here. There are some gags that I used to think were kind of bottom of the barrel, but not bad. But they're all right. They're kind of expected, maybe cheap, I guess you could say, but they're fine. It's funny. Yeah. Say this is a pretty B episode. Would I like it better than... Probably above the snow episode. And the Chaotix one. We'll put it here. All right. Terror with the Typhoon. This is, I think, the one where the Metarex and Eggman team up. I think there was a lot different in the English version of this, and I'm not really sure exactly how everything played out in the original Japanese, so I'm hesitant to really rank this one. But I think it's a pretty good one. I'll put it... Put it here. B tier is really getting crowded. I guess that implies that Sonic X is a B tier show, and I really don't think it is. Well, I think when the sum of the parts get put together, I think it's higher than that. Hedgehog Hunt, another Chaotix episode. This is the one with the Cafe Chaotix. So this is pretty fun. It's pretty funny, pretty chill. I'd say... Is it better than Mission Matchup? I'm not sure. Probably not. But I'd say... Here, we'll put it there. Oh, man. Okay, come on. 7 episodes. 7 episodes left. Almost there. Zelkova Strikes Back. This is a pretty good episode. A little brutal. A bit of a brutal ending. I don't know. It is a lot of mostly just fighting, so I'd put it... Put it there. I don't know. Just kind of a feeling. That's with a lot of these. Cosmo Conspiracy. This is an excellent episode. I think, though, the Way of Shadow makes a lot more sense when the ending of A Revolutionary Tale is taken into account, but the fact that he's like this Terminator just tearing through the Blue Typhoon, going after Cosmo, and the way that all the different characters like Sonic and Knuckles go after him to stop him. There's a great Shadow versus Knuckles fight in it. Tails really comes out into his own in this episode, to the lengths that he goes to protect Cosmo. There's some really awesome things in this one, and it's got a great cliffhanger ending. So this is S tier episode. We can get it that high. S tier episode. I would honestly put it above here. Better. I'd still put it under Friends Till the End. Yeah, but yeah, that's a great one. All right, I Spy. This was another one of the first ones. This was like one of the first ones from season 3 I saw. I watched. I watched it just kind of on YouTube autoplay where it just, you're just scrolling by and you just hover over it and it plays on mute, and I would just read the captions. I wasn't really a Sonic fan at the time, and the opening threw me for a loop because I was just, it opens talking about like something with brain surgery in a character that if they do it, it would leave them blind and deaf, and how they're an unwilling spy against their will, and the moral conundrums that come with that. And I was like, dang it, this is Sonic the Hedgehog? The rest of the episode is very good too. They show the backstory of the planet. It's some pretty emotional ones. I'd say it's maybe not quite as strong as Cosmo Conspiracy, but it's still a really great episode. I'd put it in A tier, or maybe low S. Yeah, we'll put it in low S. All right, 4 episodes. We're almost there. Agent of Mischief. I don't even remember what this one's about. Let's see. Eggman got captured. He was arrested. They go after him. This is basically the whole finale. I'm just trying to remember what happened, in what order of things happened in the finale. This is the first part. There's a lot of planning in this one, and there's a few scenes that were cut out of the dub that I really think were important. Of, some behind-the-scenes text. Not behind the scenes, but whatever. Yeah, this is a good one. Maybe not as... I don't know. Just kind of felt it there. Light in the Darkness. That's another great one. I think, I don't know, I'm having trouble remembering kind of most was in this one. I know Sonic has kind of that monologue. There's that monologue with Dark Oak that Sonic hears. They combine into the Beast thing. I don't know, I really like the vibes. I guess I really like the feeling of this one. It's a good one. I'd say this is at least A tier. It's just a part of the finale. So, yeah, I'd say this is... We'll put it there. All right. We've arrived. A fearless friend. Definitely, aside from episodes like A Revolutionary Tale. Well, even with A Revolutionary Tale, which just kind of changes the ending, I'd say in overall just feelings and vibe and the experience. In terms of the experience, I would say this one has the most difference between sub and dub. And the sub is better in every single way. The performances, Ryo Hirahashi as Tails gives, as far as I've seen, the best performance that she has ever given for Tails in her whole career. It's, I don't know if it's a perfect episode. There are some parts in the beginning that don't perfectly add up with keeping things intense, but everybody remembers it for the ending, which I just have to give points to. That at least puts it in A. I'd honestly might still put it in S. Yeah, I think I would still put it in S. I'll put it here. I think that's a good spot for it. Because I think it's... If the first 2/3 of the episode, particularly the first half of the episode, was anywhere near as good as the latter half, it would be near the top, probably. And one last episode, another epilogue. I think there are a couple weaknesses to this one. I think that the way they just kind of time skip from the final battle to like weeks later or something is a bit kind of taking the easy way out, if you know what I mean. It's like we don't really need to... It's like we don't have time to focus on the aftermath of Cosmo's sacrifice. We can't see how each of the characters are... how they grieve, how Tails grieves and recovers. I mean, we saw the ending with him and Sonic. That's another one of those great scenes. Where he kind of... Yeah. But I mean, like, I think it just felt like they were taking the easy way out, you know? I felt like we could have spent a little bit more time just living in the aftermath. Just recovering from the weight of the moment. All of the stuff with Tails and Cosmo is done very well. Again, the scene with Sonic and Tails outside on the deck is one of the hardest scenes to get through, honestly, in Sonic X. It's a really brutal scene. All thanks to Ryo Hirahashi. And I think, and I did complain about it being them maybe skipping a little too far ahead for the time skip, but it's I think what they do after the time skip is done very well. There's the scene of the Chaotix, very charming scene. Them having lunch with Vanilla. Again, 4Kids cut that. You have to watch the Japanese version for that. And there's scenes of Amy and Cream going to cheer Tails up. I think we could have seen Tails maybe take a little bit longer to recover. Like, he kind of seems all right after the time skip, and I felt like we could have maybe had a middle ground between still grieving, but you know, he's kind of returning to a sense of normalcy, that his feelings for Cosmo will never truly go away, but he learns how to move on. And yeah, the ending with Chris in the machine, maybe not the best way they could have handled it, especially for the end of the show, if you really think about it. But it's fine for what it is. So yeah, I'd say it's a pretty satisfying finale. I would put it We'll put it, here, I guess. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think there's there's a lot of good in it. Maybe a little bit higher. Yeah, we'll put it there. Oh my gosh, 2 hours and 21 minutes later, and we've done it. This is it. 78 episodes of Sonic X Ranked. All right. We'll go through it. Worst to best episodes. Good news, we had no F tier episodes, so there was didn't have a need for this tier. There were no episodes that were that bad. D tier episodes, just 2. Techno Teacher and The Damn Scam. C tier episodes, Little Chow Lost, Satellite Swindle, A Chaotic Day, Unfair Ball, Fast Friends, Mean Machines, Galactic Gumshoes, Pure Chaos, How to Catch a Hedgehog, Sunblock Solution, Eggman for President, Station Break-In, Clash in the Cloister, and Sonic Scream Test. Somehow managed to stay at the top of the C tier, the whole ranking. We got 3 layers of B tier here. We got the Sewer Search, Cracking Knuckles, A Dastardly Deed, Beating Eggman Part 1, Prize Fights, Chaos Emerald Chaos, A Date to Forget, Depths of Danger, A Robot Rebels, An Enemy in Need, The Volcanic Venture, H2O, Heads Up Tails, The Last Resort, Party Hardly, Desperately Seeking Sonic, Revenge of the Robot, Skirmish in the Sky, A Chilling Discovery, Defective Detectives. Oh, this is 4 layers, my bad. The Planet of Misfortune, Map of Mayhem, Sonic to the Rescue, Running Out of Time, Zelkova Strikes Back, Project Shadow, Beating Eggman Part 2, A Wild Win, Sonic's Big Break, An Underground Odyssey, A New Start, A Cosmic Call, Terror on the Typhoon, The Beginning of the End, Agent of Mischief, Trick Sand, A Metarex Melee, Hedgehog Hunt, Flood Fight, Shadow World, Teasing Time. A tier. The A tier episodes are Mission Matchup, Ship of Doom, Shadow Knows, The Adventures of Knuckles and Hawk, Cosmic Crisis, Fly Spy, The Light in the Darkness, Chaos Control Freaks, Emerald Anniversary, Missile Wrist Rampage, A Revolutionary Tale, So Long Sonic, Cruise Blues, and finally, we have 8 episodes in S tier. The 8 best episodes of Sonic X are I Spy, Robotnik's Revenge, A Fearless Friend, That's What Friends Are For, The Cosmo Conspiracy, Friends Till the End, Countdown to Chaos, and Showdown in Space. I'm trying to think of if I need any rearranging here. I think this is pretty good as is. I'm tempted. I might. I don't know. Countdown to Chaos seemed really impressive when I put it there earlier, but I don't know when I've compared it. I didn't think Cosmo Conspiracy was as good as Friends to the End, but I'm thinking that both of these episodes are better than this one. Yeah. Let me rephrase that. The 10 best episodes of Sonic X are I Spy, Robotnik's Revenge, A Fearless Friend, That's What Friends Are For, Countdown to Chaos, The Cosmo Conspiracy, Friends Till the End, and Showdown in Space. All right. There you have it. There's the Sonic X tier list. My voice is beat. My mind is beat. My microphone is beat. And that's it. You can't really fit it on the whole screen. Oh well. But yeah. So thank you all for joining. All those who joined live, thank you so much for doing so. Sorry for all the technical difficulties with the microphone. And if you're just watching the VOD later on, I thank you as well. It means a lot to me. And yeah. I can do this again. This was a lot of fun. This is probably the smoothest stream I've had in a while. Maybe next, I don't know what I would do next week, honestly, or another time for a tier list. Maybe I'd rank Kirby Right Back at Ya. That's another show I've seen, though that has that has more episodes. There's like 100 episodes of that show. Oh, I don't know. We'll see. Something will come up in the week. But anyways, yes. That's everything. So yeah. I hope you all have a good evening. That's all I have to say. So, thank you all for watching. And I'll see y'all at the end of the line.